The IT channel and partners and vendors and distributors, there's been a lot of serious talking and rolling out of the 4-day working week. Now, honestly, Mirza, I'm not a fan of this at all, but I wanted to get your opinion on this. Do you think more, and I'll give you an example, one tier one vendor, Cisco Systems, I believe are imminently going to roll out 4-day working week globally across their 70,000 staff. Do you think more organisations will follow suit?
I think we're going to see a few different camps around it. So the 4-day working week is being done mostly, they're not reducing hours in the week, they're saying condense the week. So you're still working your 40-hour week, so to speak, but over 4 days rather than 5 days, so to speak. I think that's happening more and more. I've heard it work in a few places. I've heard it not work in a few places because people still will log on that Friday and still, say, in effect, extra pound of flesh. I also think there's a lot of people in a lot of companies in our space, or in every space, that don't work 9 to 5. They come in at 8, they finish at 6 or 7. So I'm not sure we're actually giving anything back as such, or losing anything by doing it. It's more trying to keep up with the Joneses in a certain way. And that's one camp and that's one way of doing. But I also think there's another camp that's actually emerging, which is, you know what, do what you want. We trust you. And that's what it's about. Everybody knows their jobs. If done right, everybody can be very easily measured on their jobs and what they do in those jobs. So come in when you want, disappear when you want, log on, log off, work at night, whatever. Just make sure it's done. And so that whole trust equation is happening more and more, and I'm seeing that, and that's working. That is working.
Did companies trust their staff before though? Because when I hear this, I think it sounds great, but I think it really does. I think it's like, yeah, we all trust our staff and we trust all our salespeople to do the number and do all their quotes, to do their admin. I'm just not seeing it throughout the IT channel that's happening. I do think this. I do see it as the IT channel are doing a 4-day working week, or they're up for the hybrid working, a bit of flexibility. I'm seeing in, maybe I'm cynical, is it's a really good PR attraction strategy, i.e. I can get more staff, better staff and more suitable staff into my business if I'm saying we only work 4 days, we have trips to Marbella, we do this, X, Y, Z, etc., because the talent shortage is so bad. Now, like I said, I may be cynical, but what's your view on that?
Oh, I'm not going to disagree with that at all. I think attraction and retention are two massive drivers in that equation. But I'd also take it back, in the IT channel world, sales is a big part of the equation, right?
Yeah.
And sales is measurable. So there's no organisation out there that is or isn't doing it that shouldn't be able to see does it work or not. It's quite simple. If we turn around tomorrow and go 4-day week for the next month and sales drop off a cliff, we know there's a direct cause and effect going on. So let's reintroduce it. I think in areas where it's like support and the SOCs and all that kind of stuff where the service providers are actually having to be on 24/7, that's where it's harder because you probably need more people to actually allow for that 4-day week. But in those kind of more measurable number-led kind of functions, yeah, why not?
Is there plans at the marketing practice to do a 4-day week? Would you consider that? Could it work?
Well, could it work? Yes. I mean, are there plans to do it? No, it's not in a conversation perspective. But again, one of the things that we do is we're quite trusting of our people. We don't clock watch. If people need to go and pick up the dog or do a school run or disappear for half a day, so be it. It's nobody's really looking at kind of what time are you logging on and what time are you logging off. Well, actually, we are looking at what time we're logging off, and one of the things we are actually kind of just talking about is boundaries and trying to make sure that people set their own boundaries around hours and responding on weekends, or because it's not good. We don't want to burn people out. That's definitely not the goal.
No.
And there's a lot of kind of benefits and perks and all kinds of support things that we are trying to put in. I think part of the challenge is getting people to use it. It's you can serve it all up and there's the horses to water, but drinking it is a lot harder because we're all in kind of jobs where you've got long to-do lists or you've got numbers to hit or you've got 20 people to respond to. So ultimately, as much as you know you shouldn't be doing this, it's easier to work at night. It's easier to log on for a couple of hours on a weekend. But it's not being encouraged in any form of shape. If anything, it's actively being discouraged.
Yeah. How do you, is there anything with the listeners you could share with that you're trying to do things to look after your staff and mental health? Because mental health is a big topic at the moment. It's been ubiquitous throughout the channel. Everyone's been talking about it all the time. And I'm seeing mixed things that people are doing. But is there anything that you're trying to do to sort of try and look after your staff?
So we've looked at it, and it's a really interesting subject, right? It's very personal, so you can't enforce anything. All we can do is make sure that there are tools and services available for people to access as and when they need it. So, what we're doing, we've got wellness days as part of our kind of mix. So it's not taken out of holidays. If people need time out, just do what you need to do, look after yourself. We've got services in place with third party kind of coaching / counselling services where totally anonymized, we as the management don't know who's using it, when they're using it. It's not there for a monitoring purpose. It's there as a complete support service. So people are able to book their own slots as frequently or infrequently as they want to do. And we encourage people to do it. It's, as much as there's a certain type of person that doesn't need coaching or counselling or anything like that, they prefer to go to the pub and sit on a pint and have a chat. There are others that are much more private and don't want to do that, and it's trying to make sure we can support and cater for all of those needs.
Yeah.
And it's interesting, those services that we put forward, I think uptake is give or take about 15-20% of the business use it. Cool. If we've helped a couple of people with it, that's a good thing.
Yeah, fantastic. My last question for you, Mirza. I know I've interrogated you for 40 minutes or however long it's been. How do you think the current headwinds in the economy will impact your business in 2023? And also, because normally I see marketing being cut when things go badly. Do you think marketing is one of the things you should look at to cut if you are struggling in your business in the headwinds of 2023?
Biased, but no. No. We qualify that. So what typically happens, and back to my earlier point, been through all the different dooms and glooms and recessions over the years. Brand marketing tends to disappear, as in the billboards and the TVs and all that kind of stuff, or TV campaigns, etc. Because that's seen potentially as luxury. Performance marketing tends to increase, so lead generation, search, appointment setting, events, whatever it may be, to try and get actual proper capture and leads and sales-based follow-up kind of responses coming through. So you see that kind of mix go through, but it's really interesting because, yes, you're 100% correct. It tends to happen when we go through recession moments, those line items start to get cut. But when you look back at all of the data points and all the studies out there, the brands that actually maintained or actually increased brand marketing during those downturns came out the other side 10x up compared to those that didn't, because back to that humans buy from humans, right? If you trust a brand, if you know a brand, you're more likely to engage with it rather than somebody that you don't know, be it, and this is all walks of life, the car you drive, the kind of cola that you may drink. If you trust Coke over random cola, it is what it is.
Do you think, and I said it was the last question, but it's not, because I've got one more after you said that now. Do you think marketing is replacing business development? And what I mean by that, when people are sort of cold calling, they're using marketing tools or collateral, etc. But you've mentioned today around lead generation, appointment setting, marketing campaigns, brand awareness. Do you believe that business development and marketing are real closely aligned, or do you still see them as two sort of separate departments? Because sales, yes, delivering numbers, but a lot of business development functions are just getting a new customer in and passing it over. So what's your opinion on that?
Where I've seen it work best, or where I see it work best, is when the SDR, BDR function sits in marketing, not in sales.
Right.
Because that's when you've got marketers to be able to sit down with the entire group, so BDRs to field teams and everybody else in between, and say, right, here's the campaign, here's the journey, here's the output, here's the follow-up story, go. And it works in hand rather than where I see BDRs and SDRs sit under sales. There's an invisible wall, shall we say. They get stuff that appears in their Salesforce queue or whatever. They don't know the story necessarily behind it. And there's a slight disconnect straight away. So where I don't think marketing is replacing BDRs, I think BDRs is actually part of marketing.
Great. Mirza, you've been a great guest. Thanks so much for your time.
Most welcome. Thanks for having me.